Hi guys, Darrel Smith from South Dakota. Well, I'm still plugging along trying to tell a few stories via video about events in my life. I think I've lived a very eventful life, and I'd like to share some of them with you. Today I'd like to finish my last story that I told you. The entire story was about trekking in Nepal and around the Annapurna Circuit. Well, I intended to put a footnote to that, and I think I forgot it. If I did include it, I didn't look. If I did include it, just you can skip the first part of this video. We had a basically uneventful trek up in the mountains. We were out for about 14-15 days, and we climbed to as high as almost 18,000 feet. The weather was nice, except for one night there was about a 2-inch or 3-inch snowfall, but it was moderate temperatures. Well, they claim the best time to go to Nepal is in the fall, and they most likely to get the right temperatures and also decent weather. And about 6 or 8 years after our adventure there, there was people still trekking there, and they were hundreds in the mountains here and there. Well, everything was going good. It was a beautiful days, and the skies were mostly cloudless. But what they did not know was that out coming across for days across the ocean was a typhoon. The typhoon came ashore, and the wind dissipated pretty much, but the movement of the whole storm system took the system toward the mountains and up the mountains. And if you go up higher altitude, it loses temperature. It gets cooler and cooler. Well, the trekkers noticed that there was a slight clouds in the sky, and within a short period of time, hour or so, it went from sunshine to heavy snowfall, because all the moisture in that storm system, it turned to snow, and then it eventually turned into real heavy snowfall. Well, these trekkers were spread out along the trail up there, and there were many of them, and they were caught off guard. They lost track of each other. They lost track of their guard. They couldn't see where they were going, didn't know where they were going. And some of them made shelter, and it turned out just fine. They spent a miserable night worrying, but they did survive. But unfortunately, there was as many as 40 people that died along that very route that we had walked and trekked a few years earlier. So you can see that there is a little danger up in the mountains. Today, I want to tell maybe a kind of a joke. For the last 5 years of my flying career, I was appointed to be the chief pilot in Honolulu. There were about 400 pilots, men and women, in Honolulu, and I was the figurehead boss. Our building that we lived in over there was on the airport property. It was a wooden prefab type building, and the entryway was right in the middle. And as you come through the door, if you turn to the left, you would go to the flight attendant's in, and if you turn to the right, you would go to pilot check-in and lounge and the chief pilot's office. So many times early in the morning, I'd get there before the flights. We'd have The way international flying goes is they departed Honolulu at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning, and that put them in Tokyo at mid-afternoon on the next day across the international date line. And as soon as that airplane hit the ground over there, it was swarmed by maintenance people and cleaning crews, and then with a short period of time, it was ready to be loaded and brought back to Honolulu. Which would put them, where they would depart late in the afternoon and get to Honolulu fairly early in the morning after daylight. So anyway, quite often as a chief pilot, my office would be kind of the focal point of pilots and problems, and it was quite often people would stop in and chat. And so it was not unusual for these senior captains to tap on my door and say, "Could I speak with you a minute?" And these guys had been the ones that had been up all night and had the heavy weight of responsibility on their shoulders of a very expensive airplane, and more importantly, a whole plane load, hundreds of people. And they were out over the ocean thousands of miles from any place that they could land that airplane. And they had to make the decisions that came up during that flight. Sometimes they were stressed out a little bit, and they would ask me that they would like to come in and chat with me about whatever happened to them that night. Well, I always invited them in, and we had a chat, and they would seem to leave a little relieved or feeling better. Well, in order for me to give good advice and to know what they were talking about, I did my best to travel, to take one flight a month, at least one a month, and what that would consist of flying to Tokyo, spending the night, and coming back the next morning. Well, the flight planning office was only, 4 giant steps from my office. I'd come in early on the days I was going to fly and get in the office, and there seemed to be always something going on. So it's difficult sometimes for me to get free time to come in and do the proper flight planning. Thank goodness for good co-pilots. They seemed to understand, and they did all the work. Did most of the work. Anyway, the flight over on this particular day was uneventful. I don't remember anything about it. I do remember they parked us out on the ramp away from the terminal. They sent buses out to pick up the passengers and the crew. And I remember standing, looking over my shoulder at this machine that I had just been the captain on, and I kind of was amazed that I was a poor kid from the farm in Tennessee, had just crossed an ocean with a plane load of people, and safely I had been in charge of that particular flight. Pretty amazing machine. Anyway, we'd spend the evening, or the evening and the night, trying to get some sleep. By then, just that one leg would upset your body clock, and you felt like you knew you should be getting some sleep, but in fact, your body said, no, you should be awake. And anyway, the next afternoon, the flight attendants would meet in the hotel lobby, and the crew would meet there, and a lot of times we'd go in separate cars back to the airport. The flight attendants were delivered directly to the airplane, and they would start their prep for the flight, and it was quite complicated and hard sometimes. And the crew would go directly to flight planning, and we'd get briefing and do the flight plan and we'd learn about the weather and conditions and turbulence. And it was common for the captain to get back on the airplane and find the senior flight attendant and give him or her a little briefing on what the flight was what we could expect on the flight. Well, I was kind of horsing around. I should put in here that we were a very casual airline. There was no question the captain was in charge, but we were first name basis. Flight attendants called it. We interacted with the flight attendants quite often, and they called us by our first names, and the cockpit crew members talked to each other using their first name. No formalities there. And so we had a good relationship. So to have a little fun, I found a lead flight attendant, and I said to her, "So how are we going to handle this?" And she kind of put her head to one side and said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well, my name is Darrel, but I would appreciate it if you would refer to me as Captain Smith. And as commander of this ship, I want to tell you that it is difficult flying our job up there. And so I want a flight attendant, you to have one of your flight attendants stop in every 20 minutes or so to see if we need coffee and see if everything is okay." And let's see, what did I say? I said, and what I'd like would be to have our beverages right now, and we'll stop in and see if we need something else more. And by the way, I would like my steak cooked medium rare and served about 1 hour after takeoff. And she continued her head to one side, and I admire her for her quick wit. She says, "First of all, Captain Smith, F you." And she displayed the proper hand signals. She said, "Every seat on this airplane is going to be filled with paying passengers behind," and she didn't say behind, she said another word, 3-letter word, "and they are going to be expecting full meal service and drink service all night long. We're going to have to feed this group 2 whole meals overnight. And if we have time, or if we even remember it, we might get you some meals later on after every flight attendant has had a chance to eat." And so that's basically what she said. I said, "Well, okay, I just wanted to make sure we understood each other." And we both had a laugh and enjoyed the little interaction there. I gave her proper briefing after that, and I can tell you that the service, as it always was, for the cockpit crew was excellent. Our meals were served on time and properly prepared, and we got all the coffee we wanted to drink too. So anyway, the flight attendants, I was always amazed at them, how they could take so much punishment and work so hard and yet do it with a smile. I think those ladies and gentlemen held our airline together. Thank you very much.